What is secure boot? Well, in general, I would define it as the cryptographic validation of one boot component to the next. What does that mean, Josh? Why don't I just draw it? I'm better on the purple board than I am in explaining. So let's take an ARM Cortex-A. An ARM Cortex-A is going to have a boot ROM, right? And here I'm just describing the normal boot process. Its boot ROM will boot something called a first stage bootloader typically. And a first stage bootloader is going to be a small piece of code that will have to fit in SRAM of the system on chip because external RAM is not yet configured. So we bring this in mainly to bring up external RAM. Then that first stage bootloader is going to launch a second stage bootloader. That second stage bootloader could be something like U-boot for embedded Linux, which then launches the kernel. And so secure boot in this process as each stage, and then even the kernel then is going to go around and it's going to launch or mount a file system. That file system is going to mount applications, right? So it keeps going, okay? So secure boot, I would say, is when the boot ROM can somehow cryptographically verify the first stage bootloader. That can cryptographically verify the second stage bootloader, et cetera, et cetera. Question is, does that mean going all the way down to the application? So that's the question. And this is why secure boot, I'm doing a little bit of hand wringing when I try to define secure boot because it kind of means different things. There's a very much a marketing definition, there's a technical definition, and there's actual definitions by standards body. So first, let's talk about the marketing definition of secure boot. Generally, when a silicon vendor is saying they support secure boot, they are saying they support a very limited piece of what I just showed. What typically they will do is they will say that they will support the boot ROM authenticating the first stage bootloader, and that's it. Because once you support that, you're running user code, and from the silicon vendor's point of view, your problem, your code, your problem. Okay. And to be fair, like they've given you the tools to do that. And now it's up to you as the OEM to be responsible to continue that process. But that is specifically what a silicon vendor means by when they say support secure boot. And you have to look into this because it's very vendor specific. Now, another term you may have heard secure boot in is in regards to the trusted platform module or TPM. Now, there's other definitions. There is trusted boot and measure boot, which maybe we'll get into a different video. Lastly, you could have heard it in terms of x86, where you would hear UEFI secure boot. Again, I'm mainly an embedded guy, so we're kind of talking Cortex-A's and things of the like. But that's also where you can hear the term secure boot. So some other questions that come up. Does secure boot make my device secure? Hopefully you answered no, right? Because any one technology is not going to make a device secure. It's a systematic view of the system, redundant definition. But it kind of prevents one attack vector. It doesn't magically make your device secure. The other question I get is, Josh, secure boot, it's only like a physical access thing, right? I don't have to worry about that. Well, I would argue that it's not just for physical access. Obviously, if you have physical access and you can, easily attach a debugger or something and modify the flash or, something like this, then it's pretty trivial to bypass this boot process. But if you told me, hey, Josh, physical access is out of scope, then I would say, okay, what if you get a runtime code exploit, and then that exploit is able to modify via software the flash, right? So this is otherwise known as a rootkit. But hopefully the secure boot process would stop these kind of persistent rootkits from living on your embedded system. So I'd argue that it's not just a physical access thing. It also applies to basically any device where you want to have a kind of trusted boot process all the way up. Now, the last question is, where does secure boot stop, right? If we go back and look at the drawing here, right? Clearly, the silicon vendors are stopping at booting The first stage bootloader, they have it easy. They say they have secure boot, they're done. As the OEM, where does your secure boot stop? If you're doing embedded Linux, you can verify the kernel with something like U-boot fit image signing. And then the kernel, it's going to load a bunch of other things. So it can verify a file system, some other Linux technology like DM-Verity. It's going to load modules. Are you turning on module signing? Do you have all this other stuff enabled? How far do you want to take your secure boot definition? So a bit of an open question. But yeah, in this quick video, I just wanted to talk about secure boot. So I'm trying this new format of these videos on LinkedIn, where I think I'm just going to do these short videos, try to quickly describe a topic, give some thoughts on it, do some purple boarding, and then So interested in the feedback. This is the first one I've done. If there's some topic that you're interested in or want to know more about, I'm happy to take that in the comments below, and try to add it to the queue of new videos here. So that's it. Just wanted to talk about secure boot, and hope you have as we would say in the Navy, I hope you have a fine Navy day.